All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Hylics 2. As you can tell, this game looks like a very normal and good, and there's nothing weird happening game. I am here with theValiantSun. How are you doing?
I'm so excited to be here, Laurie.
I'm glad you're excited. This game had a few new developments recently, so you guys are going to see something even more broken than you maybe already expected. So with that being said, I'm all good to get this run started. So I will begin in 3, 2, 1, go. So Hylics 2 is a turn-based RPG in combat with a isometric overworld, as you can see. So the movement is this like 3D space, and then again, when we get into a fight, it'll be pretty standard RPG combat. It has a pretty big focus on status effects, which I'll get into as we get into the fights. But we have a few things to do before we get into like battles in this run, including a bunch of skips. I'm going to be doing a bunch of skips in the early game before we ever do a fight. So to start, the first thing I want to do is I want to go get my first party member, because not only is having party members in an RPG generally a good idea, but he will also give us the ability to air dash, which we can actually use for a first big skip of the run. So I'm going to enter the throne room here, and King Blairall is going to be missing. But Pongorma will join our party and give us the Pneumatophore, which gives us the ability to air dash. And I'm immediately going to use this to do a skip. I'm going to climb up the back of this throne room a little bit, and then dash into the air. And at the end of my dash, I'm going to save the game and load that save. When I land on the ground, I'm going to use a item we have in our inventory, the mini crystal, which I believe is supposed to help if you accidentally soft lock yourself. But I can load to the location of my last save, and if I do that well on the ground, I can sort of jump in the air with it, and I can use it to get over the invisible wall blocking this vault that has a lot of money, and I would usually need to beat the game's third boss before I am allowed to get back here. So it allows me to get a lot of money and a lot of really good gear super early in the run. And then as soon as I have everything I need, I can just hop out. So one last thing I want to do before I head to the game's first dungeon is I'm going to head down to a shop down here and buy 2 really good pieces of gear. Pleather gauges are gloves, which are an equipable that give me access to a lot of speed and extra health. So they're really just general good pieces of gear, because we're not gonna this game already doesn't have a traditional level up system, but we're gonna basically ignore this game's usual upgrade system as well. So the gear we get is going to be literally everything in getting us through the battles in the run. And just getting 2 pieces of gear that are that good that early, especially combined with the stuff that we got in the treasure vault itself, is really nice. So coming up, we have another major skip here. We're in Bioaxe's edifice, and we're going to get our third party member, Desmond. Usually we would have to climb up a giant tower, fight a boss, in order to open these jail cells and free King Blairall. However, I'm also going to drop a safety save here in case the skip goes wrong, because it can. I can use this little piece of geometry here and land on top of the jail cells and just talk to King Blairall from inside the cell. And then after doing a little bit of an equipment menu, I can use the mini crystal to work back to the starting area of the game, Wayne House, and that skips the entire tower climb and boss fight that I just mentioned. So there's already the first of 4 bosses that we would usually fight in this route, just completely skipped in like a couple minutes. And then it does not stop there. I do have another pretty big skip coming up. But before I do that, I have a pretty notable item I need to get. At the very beginning of the run, I went into the basement of Wayne House and picked up a juice box. This is because there is an NPC in the mines down here who I can trade a juice box, and they will give me a key to their house, which is not a trade you should make with a stranger. I will clarify that now. But because that trade was offered to us, we're able to get the only extra skill we're going to pick up in this run, or extra gesture, rather. This is Soul Crisper, and it lights enemies on fire. I don't think I have to explain why lighting things on fire is good for damage, but it's just like the most helpful and easiest to grab extra damage over time effect we can do. So now I'm going to try and set up a cutscene skip. I'm going to use my mouse to open multiple control menu prompts and then start this cutscene. And then one of them will be stored on this menu, just like that. So when I exit the menu, when I exit the control menu that I stored in the middle of the cutscene, the game makes me actionable in the middle of the cutscene, and I can use that to use the mini crystal to warp out of the cutscene, and it skips the whole thing. So that's like a minute cutscene that we used to have to watch that we do not anymore. And speaking of funny little skips, I get to do another one right here. So I got the dock key from Blairall, which I accidentally went back into the town. I got the dock key, which usually gives me access to the airship up north. However, the game is a soft lock, or not a soft lock prevention, as a skip prevention, usually doesn't let you activate the airship from anywhere until you've opened the gate. In theory, that's not entirely true. The only condition you have to meet is you just have to be in the main town area where you would usually open the airship gate with the dock key in hand. So I can actually save a few seconds by doing that little mini crystal jump there. Instead of going through the entirety of New Moldal to unlock the airship gate, I just get to the airship that way, and it saves like 5 seconds. So moving on, we're finally gonna have like our first fight of the run. All my gear is up to date. So before I went to do that cutscene skip, I got myself clean using the bathtub in Wayne House. Clean is a status effect that makes us immune to other status effects. And that's really useful in this first fight of the run, because this enemy on the right will counterattack anytime we hit it by putting everything on the field to sleep. However, because we have clean, we're immune to status effects, we actually don't get put to sleep, except for our new party member in this fight, Samsnosa, but all of the enemies do. So we can use that to our advantage to just kind of wail on the enemies while they're pretty defenseless to stop it. And we also get to show off our first character-specific skill in this fight. So I use Soul Crisper. Everybody in the party has full Crisper, but only each character has access to one of their own skills. And that one for Pangorma was Lightning. Lightning does a lot of damage all at once. However, as a negative effect, it leaves Pangorma stunned for the next turn, meaning they won't be able to move this turn. So we like to use it late into fights where we can get the benefit of that massive damage without having to go through the negative effect of Pangorma losing a turn. So with that fight being done, we now have all 4 party members in our party, and I'm going to grab 2 more pieces of gear here, a rancher poncho and another leather gauge, before doing a little bit of a menu here.
While you're grabbing the gear, can I jump in for some hype for this game?
Sure thing, yeah.
We have $10 from Anonymous, who just says, hype for Hylics 2.
Thank you so much. So the next dungeon is really funky. If you want to fit in another donation or announcement during this one, you can, but it looks very interesting is all I'll say.
I am always ready for more donations. We have $50 from Adorable, who says, Hylics hype. And we also have $25 from Flay. Shout out to Mason Lindroth, the artist and designer behind Hylics, and best of luck on the run.
Thank you so much. So yeah, like I said, this dungeon is really interesting. Something kind of good about it is that I don't have to wait for the visual of the path being formed to be done to walk on a path. So as long as I know where I'm going in here, I can just keep moving. I am gonna wait a moment here because this enemy, okay, yeah, there we go. Once that enemy crosses the fountain, I don't like to move before that enemy crosses the fountain, even though it's theoretically possible. And coming up is the most luck-based boss in the run. This is where we throw ourselves at the wall and pray. But I also get to do something funny here. I'm going to be setting up another menu storage and doing this entire fight pretty much with a stored menu. So, I have to be careful not to press accept any extra times during this fight, because otherwise I will like activate my stored menu and that will mess up the cutscene skip I want to do after this fight. So this is Bonthentropine, the most evil worm I have ever had the misfortune of fighting. The first turn of the fight, it uses Accelerate, so it's now going to get 2 actions in 1 turn. And in the upcoming turn, it's going to do an attack with both of its turns to put my entire party to sleep. So after it puts my entire party to sleep, it uses its second set of turns to just do like a few random attacks. And I'm really hoping it does an AoE because a party member will wake up if they get attacked. So I'm really hoping for the AoE 100 kicks, which didn't happen, unfortunately. However, he attacked 2 different people and they both lived. So they will actually both get the chance to attack this turn, which is really good. It means we probably win this fight. I'm just going to reset up Soul Crisper to be safe. And, yeah, okay, we win the fight. That's really good. Okay, yeah, I messed up the cutscene skip. That's unfortunate, but it happens. I was a little bit too hasty in excitement of finishing that fight, and I mashed the menu. It's totally fine. It doesn't mess up the route at all. But something interesting to note, for some reason, I don't know why, of the 3 cutscene skips we're gonna do in this run, spoilers, we're gonna do 1 more. This one, this cutscene's really short, so it's like, you know, the least time save of the 3. For some reason, that fight or that menu would be invisible. So I know, like, I have written down the inputs I have to do in the menu to mini crystal out of that cutscene, but the menu wouldn't actually be visible. So I would have to do the entire thing, like, without being able to see it, which again isn't that bad, but it's just like a weird note. And I don't know why it's like that, but now we're flying over to the 3rd boss. So I'm going to do a bit of equipment here again to give Desmond give me 1 second. Oh, I see what the problem is. I did something wrong. Give me 1 second here.
Is that time for me to come in with a quick donation?
Absolutely. Now would be a great time.
Perfect. We have $10 from Happy already, donating on behalf of my dogs Lobo and Blas, because chat says everything is going to be good with that Silent Hill ending. Thank you so much for that donation. And to remind everyone, we do have that incentive open to unlock the dog ending in Silent Hill 2, which is incredible. We're currently sitting at $470 of that $3,500 needed to meet the incentive. So we have a ways to go, but chat, I know you can do it for the doggos.
All right, there we go. I fixed my menu. Thank you so much. So moving right along here. with that fixed, I am going to really quickly get a full heal off of this NPC. And then we're in the third area, Fog Blast. Fog Blast is a little bit of like a labyrinth usually, where we have to activate a lot of switches and keys in order to gain access to a palace at the top of like a mountain-ish type thing here. But we can skip everything in this game. So I'm going to climb up onto this terminal that we would usually activate to raise the bridge once we get the key. And I'm going to save and load once again to set up for a mini crystal jump, where once I land here, I'm going to load to my last save point and then jump out of the air, and I will make it over to the castle. So now we're like right almost at the third boss, and technically the second because we skipped the first one entirely, but the third boss of the normal game. And just before we do that, I need to go into the basement of this dungeon and hit the switch. But
is it all right if I share with you some very exciting good vibes towards this third boss coming up here? Oh, yeah. So not only chat have we met $20,000 raised for this event, we also have a huge $1,000 donation from Mason Lindroth. It reads, "Huge thanks to the Hylics community and to the NWLC for their important work. Thank you so much for your generosity."
Thank you so much, Mason. So this third boss is Dozier and Carcero, and they are a really interesting duo boss. So pretty much, Carcero starts each turn in this like wrapping that you can see just got put on him. And pretty much the dynamic of the fight is that if he is unwrapped at the end of a turn, which I should have done earlier in my turn, my bad, but there we go. If he's unwrapped at the end of the turn, Dozier will use his turn to re-wrap him. And this creates a little bit of an interesting dynamic where if Dozier dies first in this fight, he will actually get angry and do a lot more damage. But if Carcero dies first, then Dozier never needs to re-wrap. And that allows you to, that allows him to keep attacking you repeatedly. And he has some really strong attacks. So I have to be really careful throughout this fight to make sure I, balance the two health bars, because I don't really want to be in a situation with either boss where I'm stuck, I'm stuck with only one alive and with a massive amount of HP, because that can cause a lot of problems where I just get hit by attacks that I can't really handle. This boss is also a little bit luck-based with who Carcero decides to target, because if I get the same party member targeted one too many times, that can lead to some bad things happening. But at this point of the fight, we're sitting fairly pretty. A lot of our characters are damaged already, which is kind of a problem, but it shouldn't be the end of the world. I think at this point, we are good to just keep attacking until the fight's over.
Keep snapping.
Keep snapping. Yeah, that one's still at full health, so despite a minor misstep in this fight, both die to their damage over times this turn, and that is the end of the third boss. So I'm going to do one more cutscene skip that's a little bit funny here, because it starts off with a forced loss boss fight. So we're going to have this cutscene, and I'm not going to know if the cutscene skip is going to work, if I did the setup correctly, until after this cutscene plays and I get out of the fight I'm supposed to be in.
That's amazing. That's so different from what I watched the other day.
Yeah, so if I see the control menu pop up here, like that means I got it. So I just need to use Perish to insta-lose this fight, and then do the same menu that I did earlier with the first cutscene I skipped. And this is like the longest cutscene we skip by far. So that is like the most like happy I got that one. But that being said, the run is not over, definitely. I still have the final dungeon and boss to do. After a little bit of menuing there, it is time to head to the final part of the game. So I'm gonna go up here, call the airship. I haven't mentioned this, but this is like a little place in case you die or like use some sort of fast travel method that the airship you can just call it there every time. And it's really nice because, especially for this run, because that way we don't have to like keep the continuity of where's the last place that we left our airship. We can just call it right back to the start of the game. So now we are in the final dungeon here, and this one is gonna get skipped a lot of too. I hope you didn't like to see the full of this dungeon. First thing I'm gonna do is use another mechanic here that I believe also is help with soft block prevention. Pretty much if I'm shoved up against a wall for a long enough period of time, the game will put me out of my like airborne state and allow me to jump again, and I can use that to climb up, like shove myself in a corner there and climb up this wall, which skips a lot of the dungeon. Usually you would have to pretty much climb up the whole dungeon, go all the way back down to get to that switch, or like climb all the way up the dungeon, go down a decent chunk of it to hit one switch. Hitting that switch gives you access to the switch that I just hit. And then you use that switch to get a different key, and then you can go to the final boss. So by doing that jump, I basically skipped the entire up and down section and just kind of do the final climb up, also combined with that save and load I did there, or that mini crystal jump I did there to help me skip a massive portion of the dungeon by skipping the first of two keys that you'd usually get. So this is the second of two keys you'd usually get in this dungeon, the vessel room key. And with the vessel room key in hand, I can go up to the final boss's chamber and fight him. Now, I'll drop a safety save in front of the final boss. Usually there is like usually this fight is one of the more consistent ones in the run, but that's never stopped him from messing me up before. So I think I'll be safe. So after just a short cutscene here, we're going to start the run. Or start the final fight. First item I'm going to use is the Dubious Berry. It's a item we picked up really early in the run that heals you but also poisons you, and we can use it on enemies, as you saw. So I just poisoned Gibby at the start of the fight. This is really nice because poison is a damage over time that we usually don't have access to. So being able to apply it to Gibby at the very start of the fight is like super good for our ability to do more damage. So Gibby is has a little bit of a pattern to him that I need to manipulate. Pretty much every time I hit him, as you see, he counters by summoning a progeny, which is this little minion guy. These are problematic because they love to heal Gibby, heal his status effects, heal his health, and also just do a lot of damage to you. However, he has a little bit of a pattern to him where he has certain attacks that he does or doesn't like to do, depending on the amount of progenies that are on screen. So the goal of this fight is to basically manipulate him into every other turn performing this attack right here, Killer Trees, because Killer Trees just explodes every progeny on the field. So this fight is kind of a balance of attacking and healing at just the right times, so that he, A, doesn't do killer trees every turn, because that's problematic, but basically the progenies should never be able to attack on their own, because he's going to use killer trees and get rid of all of them before they ever get a chance to move. The fight from this point on, it depends. I want to see who he attacks here. Okay, from this point on, the fight should be pretty good. So if you have a donation or two you want to read during this fight, it's perfectly great for you to do that.
We have $5 from Brutely. It reads, "Hey everyone, I just wanted to let you all know that the new fights and skips were all introduced to the run yesterday, and Laurie's executing them all really well with less than a day of practice. You got this, Laurie. Also, hi Mason in chat." We also have $50 from Salem Morn. "Shout out to the Hylics community and shout out to the great work the National Women's Law Center does." Thank you so much for your donation. I also love this one. There's no comment, but it's from Ginger Snapped You, a $10 donation. Thank you so much. It reminds me of that little glove just doing the snappy snap.
Yeah, the gloves are a really cool part of this game for sure. It's really funny because this game is like entirely in play, and then they're just attacking with gloves, which I think is super cool. All right. So at this point in the fight, again, the pattern is kind of still set as it should be. I should explain a little bit what's happening, because under most circumstances, I should just be dying to every attack a final boss is throwing at me when I've never upgraded my characters. But this boss in particular, their attacks have a little bit of these like gates to them, where they'll do like, I don't fully know how it works, but they'll do a certain amount of damage, but there's like, it'll be merciful on actually just one-tapping you. And like, we definitely take that to our advantage here with these full heal items, the cloud germs that I got. But also the cupcakes that I grabbed like literally at the beginning of the run, they grant defending, which lowers the amount of damage I'll take from one attack, which is really helpful. But with that being said, this fight is almost done, and I don't have any more healing. So it's time for that little bit of this game being merciful about not killing you to come into practice at the end of this turn. So unlike every other turn where I'm trying to heal and he'll only have 3 progenies, this turn I'm going all out offensive and he'll end the turn with 4 progenies, which his AI should respond by telling him to do killer trees again. So he does it again here, and this should leave 1 character alive. I think in this instance it'll be Wayne. Yes, in this instance it's Wayne. So now Wayne is just going to block, even though he's at 4 HP, and Gibby will die to the damage over times. This is really important because the game does not kill all the progenies that Gibby spawns when Gibby himself dies. So it's really important to end that fight with no extra enemies on the field, because we will have to fight them out, and that will take a lot of time. Again, they are really annoying support enemies. So thankfully, again, we got rid of the fight. Not only like manipulated his attack pattern using the amount of minions he had, but also made sure we were able to beat the fight with no progenies left, so we didn't have to fight any extra. So time is going to be in like 5 to 10 seconds. I just need to go all the way down here, and there's going to be like a bridge with a button at the end of it, and time is when I hit this button. So I just have to walk up this bridge, and time. That is Hylics 2.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Sorry, yeah, no, there was a lot to talk about in a very short amount of time. So sorry if I was rambling on a few points, but it's a very fun run with again, just so much happening. So
It's wonderful. And as before you say your closing remarks, I just want to read this donation just to like wrap up the Hylics too. It's $50 from RJ's. Okay, it was hard to say. Manjeet. Go, Laurie, go! You did a great job.
Thank you so much. So, yeah, a few shout-outs are in order. First off, a few people that did throw in their donations during the run. Mason Lindroth made pretty much the entirety of this game himself. When we get to the credits, you're going to see, when we get to the ending screen at the end of this cutscene, you're going to see literally, made by Mason Lindroth, music by Chuck Salamone. It was literally just those two. And, this is such, a big and, ambitious and beautiful project. And there's a lot more to this game than what I showed. I skipped a lot of stuff. I didn't do a lot of side quests. So please play this game yourself. It's in the official Frost Vital Humble Bundle. So you can grab it along with games like Studa Regalia, Abzu. And I believe our next game on the schedule is called, Griff. And I believe that's on the bundle as well.
On the bundle, yeah. Guilt.
So, yeah. So you can grab this game and a few other amazing games for $10. And you absolutely should. But yeah, those two made the game, made everything this game is about. Thank them so much. For the run itself, I would like to shout out another two people that got their donations read brutally, and I believe it's pronounced just RJ Smengit.
Thank you.
Those two... Yeah, those two pretty much shaped this whole run. I'm not the type that's usually very good at finding new strats or routes, so those two deserve almost all the credit for making this run what it is. I'm just kind of playing along. Those two, again, incredible job what they've done with this game. All of the glitches are just really fun to do, and they're super cool people as well. Thank you so much. With that being said, I have just kind of a few general shout-outs to all of my friends that came in. I got so many more pings than I ever expected with people wishing me luck, and I just want everyone to know I appreciate all of you, and thank you for supporting me. And I usually wouldn't shout out my Twitch because I don't stream a lot, but as has been mentioned during this run, this route is brand new. So I definitely want to try my best to optimize it and get the best time I can. So if you do want to check out my Twitch, I probably will still be streaming this game in the upcoming couple weeks because I want to push this route as hard as I can. It's super cool, and I can't wait to see how low the time goes with it. With that being said, that's everything I have to say. So thank you so much, and anyone else can take the floor.
Thank